children are children. They don't care about your language or your background. They want to learn, and they're all learning the same way.
Welcome to Being the Change, the official podcast of James Madison University, brought to you by Madison Magazine. Each episode brings you stories of how members of the JMU community combine intellect with action to live lives of purpose and meaning. That's being the change.
What's up, JMU? Andy Perrine here. Welcome to Being the Change. In this episode, we're going to explore the work of the Center for Advancement Research in Education, or CARE, at JMU. And it was one of the research centers that JMU created when it earned its classification as a research university by Carnegie, and that happened in 2023. And it's very appropriate that one of our first research centers centers around research and education, since we started as a teacher's school. So it's very representative of who we are and who we're becoming at the same time. And with us to talk about CARE is Dr. Miriam Sharifian, and she's the center's executive director, and she's also an associate professor in the College of Ed. And she's a star at the university for the amount of grant money that she brings in. She's brought in the biggest grant ever in JMU history to support the work of the Center for Advancement Research and Education. Miriam, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. Now, if you would, just to orient our listeners, why don't you briefly give us an overview of the work of CARE, and then we'll dive into how it's affecting populations, how you got here, what its role is in the Commonwealth, and even in Harrisonburg.
Absolutely. Thank you for a lovely introduction.
Of course.
That was very nice. I'm glad to be here. JMU CARE is, as you mentioned, is a research center. It's an interdisciplinary research center that is founded as one of the first newly funded research at JMU as soon as we got to the Carnegie classification and R2. We are a platform for variety of studies that will support early childhood education and child development. And I would always love to emphasize that we are a lifespan. You can't ever change anything in adults if you don't invest in children. And JMU CARE always looks to a lifespan and interdisciplinary approach towards early childhood.
And this work has been a life's work for you. Give us a little bit of background about how you got here and why this is such a passion for you.
Absolutely. Well, I got my PhD in early childhood education at the University of Buffalo. My research study was in teachers in war zone in Syria. So generally, I'm from Iran, a little bit of a background, and I'm Persian. I grew up in Middle East, and I worked before I get to JMU and before I even moved to United States, very much in United Nations initiatives in children with sexual abuse and parents with like lack of education and addiction problems, and that helped with me to open my eyes. I worked with as a small group of student cohort in my college education to fund a little bit of work to work with Afghan refugee families and children in mosques around Tehran, rural areas.
And they were crossing the border because of the war.
Yes,
right.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that was the start of understanding how important it is to create education, especially for refugees and marginalized populations. So that work kind of like laid out the plan of future for me. And after learning a lot about that experience and finding my pathway, I got my PhD in early childhood, working with teachers in Syria, helped me to understand how much we have to invest in teacher education. And generally, it's just as soon as I got my job at JMU, I was very confused what is my role in Virginia. I wasn't sure that what am I supposed to do. This is very interesting. And I got one of my first grants from Department of Social Services to support family day home providers in rural areas. That was the aha moment that child care desert in Virginia is a reality. And when one of my specialists in this child care center, or not even a child care, a basement of a family day home provider, stories that came out of that experience, that there was one peanut butter sandwich and this very nice old lady sitting and giving a bite to each child just as a snack. And that was like, what are we doing that we can't support this much need? And it became my passion to bring the attention that we really need to invest. And gradually, a lot of more other work came, and we became more and more engaged. And JMU is very well known to create access to early childhood, and ended up to JMU Care.
Well, and your experience in Tehran with Afghan refugees, especially young girls coming out of Afghanistan, I'm guessing that there was a passion, a fire lit in you to help them, because often girls don't have access to education in Afghanistan.
Yes. And I remember vividly, this is the story that I never forget. There was a little girl that I met. She was selling socks in the street of Tehran. And I was asking her, what's your plan for future? Because I was buying socks. And she said, I want to become a doctor. I want to go to school because my little brother got injured in the war, and I want to cure that. And I was dreaming, and I was not an adult at the time, like to be able to do something significant, but I always dreamed that I will create I will build a school. I wanted to build a school with lots of classrooms, with lots of food and books, and help all the children in the streets, and all the children from refugee backgrounds, and kids that they really needed help. And I think that gradually became that dream, even though I've been able to build a school, but I have been able to create access to early childhood quality in this part of the world, that very well-deserved children are going to the classrooms with high-quality access, and also teachers that are passionate to support our little kids. Yes, that story and many more really created who I am.
In a sense, you've built a figurative school because of CARE. And it was about 3 years ago, I think, that the Virginia Early Childhood Foundation delivered a grant, or you brought the grant here for $3.6 million, which is the biggest grant in JMU's history. What is that grant allowing you to do?
That was definitely a historical moment. It was a lot of work with the collaboration of so many others. That was a time that we really needed to hear what is happening in the field and really care about children. So that was a largest single-year grant of JMU history to create 324 slots for children with a very specific qualification, including low-income families, second language learners, special need children. And
this is all over the Commonwealth.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Right.
And we were covering a lot of localities for that. And we placed these little kids and their families in these beautiful centers. And then the year after that, we broke our own record and we created more slots. And overall, it's like over 650 children placed in centers in different areas. And in addition to that, we definitely did not forget that we need to support teachers. So we had additional grants to provide professional development for teachers to be able and prepare for such a beautiful, diverse classrooms.
Well, can you give us an example of some of the projects that CARE is carrying out?
Absolutely. We still are very engaged in the field. We provide a lot of coaching. We have a beautiful coaching framework that is non-evaluative and we implement it into different localities, school systems. In addition to that, we invited our experts across campus to join us. So that's a beautiful, exciting part that I'm seeing a lot of changes in our projects that we have. We have a STEM lab kit. Our faculty from physics department invented a lab kit that we are translating it. It's for college students, but we are translating it to early childhood education, and we are bringing it to the schools. We are investigating math and AI instruction for teacher training. We have music intervention education. It is actually right now currently happening in young children program. We have professors.
Here at JMU.
Here at JMU.
Yeah. YCP.
Yes, that young children program at JMU. We have professors from music education, professors from literacy to see this engagement that children who are engaged in music intervention would impact their language and literacy development. Literacy is one of the most challenging parts. 49% of children in Virginia are behind at the age of pre-K. So we really want to invest in literacy in addition to math and science and many other projects that we are excited and engaged.
Well, one of the things, sort of a knock-on effect of this program, when you talk about literacy, it's been proven through reams of research that the earlier a child is literate, the more they'll be self-sufficient. And so this has a direct economic impact on the Commonwealth.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the really critical components of JMU Care, to look at it longitudinally. We don't want to just start in the age and then forget that what happened, it was just a quick intervention and it's done. What we are laying out is having experts to follow up. So that's why we call it a lifespan, to be able to start in early on, support the whole system, including families, community partners, and caregivers, not just focusing on one element, because it's a combination. We call it a triangle: family, school, community.
Family, school, community.
Exactly.
Okay.
When you have this triangle that works together, you are confident that the needs, that macro level of children, all of the levels of Berners, theoretical framework that we always follow. We want the child to be in the center, and every layer around it are the layers that will help the child to grow properly, and the layout of the environment is ready for the child and the future of our community and society.
Well, if I remember my geometry, triangle is the strongest of shapes, isn't it?
It's true.
It was terrible. How are JMU students involved in the work of care? One of the hallmarks of JMU is that undergraduates get to participate in research at a far higher rate than our peer institutions. So what are JMU students getting out of this?
Yes, we one of our very high focus is to make sure that the students are part of our research. It could be in different ways. The student teachers, because we are housed in the College of Education, many of our faculty and professors are engaged with us, and the student teachers and our non-traditional students, part of our either professional development that we provide and research angles and assessments that we are defining. In addition, we open our door to students from other colleges. We have graduate students, we have PhD students from Assessments, College of Assessment, Center of Assessments, and then we have from psychology. We actually work with College of Business closely for their capstones, the students involved in developing interface for our research platform at JMU Care.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
What does that look like?
It's about to, we finished it last spring. Students designed it. There was a huge competition, and finally one team, beautiful team, won that interface, and we are hoping that we can hire one of them as an intern to launch it, and the professors supporting us.
Yeah, you put the College of Business kids in a competition and you're going to get something out of it, right?
It's true.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I think a lot of our listeners know that Harrisonburg is a church world service community, and that there's 70 languages spoken in the public schools locally, and there's folks from all over the world here. And one of JMU's roles as a community partner is to support the community. How does this work help our neighbors?
Yes. Oh my God, that's a wonderful question. We work closely with them in many different grants that we have. The mixed delivery grant that was creating access. We had specific slots for children of refugee families. And as you mentioned, they're diverse population from different countries and languages. We also currently working on a project with our community partners to start a financial literacy nights for refugee and immigrant families. So it's a research component involved into it, but we are supporting families and children in Children Museum. That's a plan for next semester, but we are in collaboration to designing it. So Children Museum has a wonderful financial literacy play area, and we are utilizing that area for children to be downstairs, and upstairs families coming to learn from our partners from different bank or financial aspects to support us with helping families understand, because this is not easy for immigrants and refugees to navigate. So
understanding credit.
Exactly. What is it? The bank system is so complicated, and that's one of the efforts that we have. There are so many others that we make sure that our children are feeling welcome, and we have partnering with Worcester Services helps us with translation, interpretation, and making sure that the families are included.
Wow. And for those of our listeners that may not know, the Children's Museum is downtown, right on Main Street, across from Clementine, and bringing folks from the refugee and immigrant community downtown is a wonderful thing because they might not always feel that they belong there or they're welcome.
Yes, absolutely. Creating that welcoming environment, it requires a lot of effort, and I think our community is more than happy and really welcoming. So it's just the fact that how we engage them in different components.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Well, you talked about longitudinal research. Can you give us some examples of real-world outcomes that you've been able to measure and assess and prove?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what we are doing, and especially in child development, everything that we are laying out is making sure that the foundation is there, and we are, for example, the STEM kit that we are planning to implement. We want to see if this schools that are targeted in rural areas, we really want to see use the schools that for 3 years in a row their science scores not being properly helping the children to get to where they are in SOLs, standard of learning. And through this research and intervention, when students receive these lab kits for science and family in rural areas are engaged into it, we can really follow them and see in the 4th grade and 5th grade what kind of changes this kind of intervention will make. And we have a control group that obviously they will receive it later on to make sure that they also are engaged. But that comparison will help the policymakers and leaders in education to see, hey, investing in very early on and not waiting until we see, why our students are not doing well, and then start intervention. That's a wrong way to go. So longitudinally, you can really show that when you follow them and make a difference, it's starting the foundation early on. And science identity, as we know, research shows that by age 8, children call themselves a science person or not, quote unquote. So it's really critical to make sure that this kind of longitudinal study provides enough knowledge and information for policymakers and Department of Education and many others, especially in our area, rural areas, to support more investment and more efforts.
Well, you just spoke about policymakers and the Department of Education. How interested is the Commonwealth in your work and applying it as broadly as possible?
Very much. I think many of my grants were part of Department of Education, so I have been engaged, and I also serve on, we call it ECAC, Early Childhood Advisory Committee, that advises the Board of Education in early childhood. So I sit around that table. It's been like second round it's around 4 or 5 years that I've been engaged. So I'm working very closely as representative of JMU and also our community to make sure that research components is embedded and the needs of the community. I am aware of what is the needs and what are the efforts from the Department of Education, and also I can be engaged and inform them about the work that we do at JMU. I think it's inevitable. We have to be part of the policymaker decisions. We have to inform them about the most recent research that is happening, not only in our community, our nation, internationally. I am a big believer in global engagement, and I do believe that we need to learn from other countries, and other countries need to learn from us. So that takes me to many of collaboration that we have. We have collaboration with Finland, University of Helsinki. We work with Sweden, Stockholm University. We are working to develop some relationship with Singapore, Nanyang University, and many of them. And we also actually one of our projects, music intervention, is a collaboration with London, our university and nonprofit organizations in London. So all learning from each one of these communities and countries that they do effectively support early childhood would help us to look at differently, learn differently, and then translate it into our cultural components and making sure that it works for us here. In return, we are teaching them a lot because we are a beautiful, huge country that we do really well in so many areas, and they can learn from us. So I think this is important to be engaged in not only policy but also international collaboration.
And what do you see? What do you see in terms of the translation internationally? Do children learn the same all across the world?
Children are children. Yes, that's what every time I travel and I go to early childhood classrooms. Even if I don't speak their language, which happens a lot, I sit on the floor because you need to be in the level of a child. I sit on the floor and they all are coming towards you and they all start asking questions or making connection without speaking. And that's what matters, because children are children. They don't care about your language or your background. They want to learn, and they're all learning the same way. It's just the fact that how we can effectively create a classroom that every child feels like welcomed, and also every child feels like their needs are met. So inclusive learning is really important, and I think helping teachers to be able to deliver that, because we know our teachers want to deliver that. It's just the fact that how to support them and equip them with the tools such as coaching, or now recently with the AI component, how can we take advantage and leverage that into early childhood classrooms?
We talk about supporting teachers. I've always thought that teachers and some healthcare professions are really callings rather than professions. I think people are called to the work. And for JMU to have a center like this that is based on people who want to serve, this podcast is called Being the Change. And this is just a beautiful, virtuous cycle that you've created.
Yes, I agree. Teachers really, especially when you look at it, their income, it's not something that you're looking for. If you're after making money in your life, teaching is not well-paid position. But when you go to the classrooms in public and private sectors and you talk to the teachers, you see their heart is there.
Yep.
They are there for children. They want to make the generation of caring adults, generation of understanding and supportive adults. And I think when you look at it, that sense of self-accomplishment in teachers are a really critical component that we have to support. And we have to make sure that the teachers are feeling like they are making decisions. So when you want to meet the needs of the children, you have to meet the needs of the teachers. And that's how the well-functioning society works. Yeah. And you are absolutely right. This is a beautiful thing to have JMU Care to think about professional development and support system for teachers.
Well, what's in the future for CARE?
Oh, a lot. I think in the 5-10 years, we are going to be extremely well known for our support system that we provide for families, caregivers, and communities in terms of science, math, interdisciplinary approach towards education. But also one of the other parts that I would like to highlight is AI is coming, and we know it's already here. So
Whether we like it or not.
whether we like it or not. And we are looking at it in a different way, I think, at CARE. We are really trying to customize AI and teach the teachers and leaders about, don't be scared of it.
Right.
Let's work at it as a collaborator and partner, not just as a tool. It's a great tool, but if you just look at it as a tool, you can't ever feel comfortable with it. Let's think about how can we take advantage of AI in the classroom as your co-teacher and support you the part that you don't have time for it in the classroom, because many of the things that the teachers need to do are time consuming, but AI can do it a lot faster for them.
Right.
But also ethical consideration is important.
Absolutely.
So all of those. So I think this is going to be a future of CARE with a lot of projects and research that are coming from the community and meets the needs of the community.
Yeah, well, that's beautiful. Well, Dr. Miriam Sharifi, and it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for the attention that you bring to JMU, and most of all, thank you for what you do for students, teachers, all over the country and all over the world.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, remember, listeners, if you have an idea for a future episode or want to just get in touch, you can reach us at beingthechange@jmu.edu. Until next time, go Dukes.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe to hear more stories about how members of the JMU community are being the change. Dive deeper and explore countless other stories at jmu.edu/Madison Magazine. Go Dukes!
The Being the Change podcast was conceived by Jim Heffernan, editor of Madison Magazine, and me, Andy Perrine, head of JMU Marketing. Thanks to Jenna Polk and her team at the Rose Library Studios, where the show is recorded by Cody Troyer, Steve Adderton, and Olive Santos, all of the crazy talented JMU photo video team, who then produced the final episodes at the Ice House in downtown Harrisonburg. Original music by 2019 alumnus Neil Perrine. You can find the Being the Change podcast on all the popular platforms where we hope you'll like, share, and subscribe.